action in Group C. A beautiful evening right now in Fort Lauderdale. There's a chance of rain throughout the evening, but as of now, a hot one, 87 degrees. We'll see how that impacts the play as conditions are still warm before that sun goes down. El Salvador in a 9th straight Gold Cup. Martinique in an impressive 4th straight Gold Cup as they continue to improve their standing in and around Concacaf. Teams are getting set to take the field, and these fans are ready to welcome them to the pitch. It's a very pro-El Salvador sounding crowd. Big population of Salvadorans in the area in South Florida. A reminder of the rest of the group here. It's Panama, Costa Rica, who will meet later in this doubleheader. It's maybe one of the most difficult groups to predict here in the 2023 Gold Cup. Just the way things set up, it could be a point here, a point there. Very, very evenly split, especially when you take a look at the rankings within CONCACAF. El Salvador is 10th in the region. Martinique is 12th in the region. Of course, Martinique not eligible for the FIFA World Rankings, where El Salvador are 75th in the rankings. These are two teams who will meet again down the line. They are drawn into the same group for the next edition of CONCACAF Nations League, but this tonight is only their second meeting all time, with their previous meeting coming 20 years ago, back in the 2003 Gold Cup. It was a 1-0 win for El Salvador. The teams are getting set now to take the field. Anthems in just a moment, and kick to follow from Dry Pink Stadium here in Fort Lauderdale.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the pitch the teams from El Salvador and Martinique. Demos la bienvenida a los equipos nacionales de El Salvador y Martinique. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of El Salvador. Damas y caballeros, por favor, levantarse por el himno nacional del El Salvador. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of Martinique. Damas y caballeros, por favor, manténganse de pie para escuchar el himno nacional de Martinique.
Teams are set to get things going here. Great environment at Dry Pink Stadium. It's the first action in Group C of the 2023 Gold Cup, with the starting 11s for both of these nations in just a moment. And there is quite the disparity in terms of experience between these two sides. Not necessarily in terms of production once we get into the nitty-gritty, but Gold Cup experience very much heavily slanted in favor of El Salvador as we take a look at their starting 11. It's Tomas Romero in goal. He's a newbie to the World Cup. He has, the Gold Cup has not appeared yet. It's just his 8th cap overall for El Salvador. Terrific back line. Alex Roldan and Brian Tamacas up and down the flanks, get involved in the attack so often. And then in the midfield, Menjivar controls things in the attacking sense with a Brian Gill start up top. It's only his 4th start ever for El Salvador. He'll turn 22 in 2 days. There's not a lot of goal scoring in this 11 for El Salvador. Alex Roldan has 3. Eric Zavaleta has 2. Nobody else has scored for their country in the starting 11 for El Salvador. We'll meet the officials. Adonai Escobedo of Mexico leads the crew. Christian Espinosa, Karen Diaz are your assistant referees. And Randy Encarnacion, the 4th official, as the captains meet for the coin toss. Brian Tamacas for El Salvador and Daniel Arel on the Martinique side. Martinique has the momentum of a successful endeavor in the preliminary phase last week, which is right here at this stadium. Had to win 2 games to go from the preliminary round into the tournament proper. A reminder, VAR is part of the equation. Guillermo Pacheco, Enrique Santander, there are 2 officials in the VAR room this evening. Martinique had to go through St. Lucia and then Puerto Rico in order to get to the group stage. Yanis Clemencia is in goal, earning his 7th cap for Martinique. The back line is strong. It's anchored by Riviere and Pulolo. Going further forward into the midfield, Kevin Fortune is where a lot of the creativity comes from. And Cyril Monduki is the rock in the middle of that midfield, a holding midfielder with Brighton LeBeau up top. 2 goals to his tally for Martinique, and both of those goals came last week in the preliminary phase. He scored against St. Lucia, he scored against Puerto Rico. Hugo Perez, head coach of El Salvador, looks on. He has turned this nation's program around, and Marc Collat, in charge of Martinique, has them somewhere they've never been before. 4 consecutive Gold Cups for Martinique, who are in the white from left to right. It's El Salvador in the blue from right to left. And we are set to kick off game number 1 of our Group C doubleheader this evening in the 2023 Gold Cup. underway from Dry Pink Stadium. Martinique, El Salvador, Group C action in the 2023 Gold Cup. Happy to have you along this evening. I'm Joe Malfa. Both of these teams would love to get off on the right foot in what is such a difficult group, with Costa Rica and Panama meeting later tonight. On paper, this is the most difficult group of the tournament rankings-wise here in Concacaf. An early look forward for Martinique. Having fortune hoping to connect with Brighton LeBeau. That duo dangerous last week in the prelims. Christian Martinez slows it down. Brian Tamacas looks long for Gil, takes it off the chest, and it's kicked away for the moment. Second opportunity is blocked out for a corner by Florent Pololo. A minute in, we saw two direct balls, one each way, and El Salvador nearly an early breakthrough. Gil held his run, and taking it off the arm. Kevin Reyes had the chance. Pololo, good positioning just to ensure he was there to back up his keeper. Now from the corner, first set piece of the evening. Driven near side, rolled down, back post, and knocked away. Manduki got his foot to it. It's out for a El Salvador throw. Cabalceta was the one diving in for the header. Here's Alex Roldan, 26-year-old, earning his 21st cap tonight. Gets it into Gil. Now Menjivar, edge of the area for a strike over the bar by Martinez. Very positive start for El Salvador. Good build-up play in and around the 18 so far. For a team that hasn't had a lot of success recently, you have to go all the way back to June 4th of 2022 to find El Salvador's last victory. They came in Concacaf Nations League. They were in a group with Grenada and the United States. They took down Grenada 3-1 that night, put themselves in position to top the group in League A. Ever since then, they hit the skids a little bit. Some friendlies in which they've struggled. Starting a new World Cup cycle, getting so many new faces into the mix. Brought ahead by the captain, Tamacas. Through for Landaverde, but too long. And secured by Florian Lapi. Clemencia under some pressure from Gil. After that win last June against Grenada for El Salvador. A couple of draws in Nations League against Grenada and the United States. Losses in friendlies against Peru, Nicaragua, Honduras. They lost to the US back in March in their final Nations League game. And they went on the road last week. Quick tour of Asia, and they take on Japan and South Korea. They lost 6-0 against Japan in a friendly and then tied South Korea 1-1. It's been a while since they've tasted victory. Here's Menjivar through the lines. Knocked away by Riviere. Kevin Fortune, acres of space driving at that Salvadoran back line. Still with it, Fortune. Fronted by Cabalceta. Good ball centrally from Brighton LeBeau. Good inside positioning from Eric Zavaleta. It's the first corner of the match now for Martinique. Their recent form, Martinique, much more positive. Buoyed by their 2 wins last week in the preliminary phase. 3-1 over St. Lucia, 2-0 over Puerto Rico. But even prior to that, they had been in a good spell of form when they had taken the field. Big crowd around Tomas Romero, sent near post. And it's out of play for a goal kick. Martinique ended their Nations League campaign back in March with a 2-1 loss at home against Costa Rica. We're unbeaten in the 4 matches prior to that. Trio of friendlies and 1 match in the Nations League. A scoreless draw in Nations League against Panama. One of their group mates here again in the Gold Cup. Draw against Guinea-Bissau in a friendly. A win and a draw against French Guyana and 2 more friendlies. So overall, going back to last June's phase of the Nations League for Martinique, they've only lost once in what is now a stretch of 8 matches. Alex Roldan finds Kevin Reyes. And it was over the line for a goal kick. Just the second meeting all time between these two nations. 20 years ago was the first. 2003 Gold Cup group stage. El Salvador 1, Martinique nothing at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Marc Palat in charge of Martinique. We'll have to keep this matchup in the back of his mind for when we begin the next edition of Concacaf Nations League. The draw was conducted not too long ago in the reformatted Nations League. See a few teams with byes directly through to the quarterfinal, and then 2 groups of 6 in League A. Martinique, El Salvador both in League A and in the same group as it's sent ahead to Lebeau. Headed away by Zavaleta. Fortune. He's taken down from behind. Play continues. Fabian centers. Salvador some dicey moments defensively. And again, it's given away to Manduki. Osorio goes down. There's one cleanly by Martinique. Fabian. Oh, Fabian commits the foul. 22-year-old who plays in France, Fabian. His 6th cap he's earning tonight. 2 goals already for Martinique in his young career. In his debut against Guadeloupe in a friendly in March of 2022. Coming off a good week in the prelims, Fabian was dangerous in both games, started both of them against St. Lucia and Puerto Rico. He scored in that 3-1 win over St. Lucia. To bomb up and down that right side, that right flank. Here he is defending. Steers it out for a Salvadoran throw. Back for Romero. Interesting to see Romero tasked with starting the group opener. That's over a much more experienced goalkeeper in Mario Gonzalez, who has 29 caps for El Salvador, has been their mainstay keeper through World Cup qualifying, through Nations League. He's available on the bench. Perhaps Hugo Perez will spread the wealth as the group stage unfolds, but it's the 22-year-old Tomas Romero tonight. And he hasn't been playing all that much recently. Has not appeared this season for Toronto FC in MLS. Slipped through toward Gill and cleared by Pulolo. Harold Osorio, a 19-year-old, battling in the middle of the midfield for El Salvador. His 4th cap tonight, his first in official competition. Previous 3 had all been in friendlies. Osorio, another one of those players on the long list of players that Hugo Perez has brought in who are dual nationals. Osorio was eligible for the United States as well. Here's Tamacas. Give and go to the end line. Tamacas serves it up, corner on the way. And a delayed offside call will negate the corner. Tamacas exchanging a glance and a word with assistant referee Karen Diaz. He didn't think so. Oh, look here. Good call by the assistant referee. Tamacas certainly off. Plays his club ball in USL Championship with the Oakland Roots. Tamacas, the captain, earning his 66th cap tonight for El Salvador. By far the most experienced player for La Selecta in this starting 11. Landa Verde forced back toward his own goal. And Zavaleta touches along for Romero. Roldan. Four appearances, 2 starts in the last edition of the Gold Cup for Alex Roldan, with it again. Second tournament now for El Salvador. Some space here for Martinique to threaten on the left side. The opener for Martinique! Patrick Berner puts them up 1-0, 11 minutes in. Momentum from the prelims perhaps spilling over into the group stage. Patrick Berner scored the first Martinique goal in the prelims against St. Lucia in that 3-1 win. He's well onside. He exploited the space in behind Tamacas, and a clinical finish. Picked out that far post, put it beyond the reach of a sliding Tomas Romero. He's pressured by Zavaleta, who might have gotten a small piece of that, but not enough to steer it off frame. And against the grain, Martinique takes the lead. El Salvador had been in control of the possession, 65-35. Had 2 shots. Martinique got their first shot of the match, and it counts as the first goal of the match. Brilliant ball threaded through his way. Berner did the rest. 27-year-old plays with Nîmes in France. Global outlet transfer market has Berner as one of the most valuable players listed in this Martinique side. His transfer value at around $700,000. His performances have backed it up for club. Started 67 matches over the last 3 seasons, played in 91 of them for Nîmes ever since he joined. Spent the first 5 years of his career, Patrick Berner, playing for Nice, made 6 appearances in the Europa League. Over the last few years, as the prominence of dual nationals has risen, a lot more players like Patrick Berner, who are of Martinique descent or grew up in mainland France, have made their way into this lineup, into this roster, and led them now to 4 straight Gold Cups. And might this be an indication early on, this could be the year they make it through the groups and make another deep run. They haven't made one since 2002. Made it all the way to the quarterfinal back in 2002. It is their best ever finish in a Concacaf Gold Cup. Still a long way to go tonight and a long way to go in the group stage before we start thinking about advancement for Martinique. You could not have asked for a better start. Landa Verde slows things down for a Salvadoran side that has to work back into this and respond well. A couple of careless giveaways in possession from El Salvador would have led Martinique onto some of these attacks. Another one here. Fabian splits through 2 blue jerseys, continues his run, Fabian. Fabian back to his right foot to the end line. And Romero just sat on it, kept it in. Given away, telegraphed to Roldan. Here comes LeBeau. Now Fabian rolls it along. It's 2 for Martinique. Kevin Fortune. His 4th goal in his 13th cap off of 2 Salvadoran giveaways. 2 goals for Martinique. A majority Salvadoran crowd is stunned at Dry Pink Stadium here in Fort Lauderdale. Just a careless ball here. Well read defensively by LeBeau. And then it's a 3v2. You have the numbers, you have the space right here, and another clean, clinical finish. Fortune wastes no time. Outside of the right boot. Maybe catches Romero by surprise. It seemed like he would let it run to his left foot. But that quick hit with the right, nothing Romero could do but watch it nestle into the corner. I mentioned early on, this is maybe the most difficult group to forecast in the Gold Cup. El Salvador tries to get a quick response, cleared away. Costa Rica and Panama play later tonight. Costa Rica coming off a World Cup appearance. They were there with Canada, the United States, and Mexico representing Concacaf. Panama was just on the outside looking in the octagonal round of qualifying for that 2022 World Cup, but they're always among the better sides here in the Gold Cup and throughout Concacaf. They've retooled a little bit. We've got El Salvador ranked 10th and Martinique ranked 12th. Mendiobar takes it end line and he's run out of play by Ronnie Lebon. So take all that into account. This may be the most difficult top to bottom group here in this Gold Cup. Look at how the first goal unfolded. Patrick Berner back in the 11th minute. Costa Rica's ranked 3rd in CONCACAF, Panama ranked 5th, El Salvador 10th, Martinique 12th. Taken by Fabian. Possession has gone Salvador's way. They've had a couple of opportunities going forward, but Martinique has picked them apart on the counter. Everywhere else you look in the Gold Cup, Group A, it seems like a clear-cut #1 and #2 on paper with the United States and Jamaica. Group B, Mexico appears to be the clear-cut #1. Maybe you could have an argument between Haiti and Honduras as far as who's #2 there. And then in Group D, Canada on paper a clear #1. With Guatemala likely a #2. But here in Group C, it's anyone's guess. Costa Rica probably the #1, but Martinique, Panama, El Salvador all had high hopes of going through. Nobody would have argued with you really if you put any order in terms of how you stack this group. Makes it so interesting as we begin Group C play with this doubleheader tonight. What a start it's been for Martinique as Landaverde settles for El Salvador. Martinez pops it out into space for Tamacas. Every time El Salvador looks to go forward, there's a roar from the crowd. Here's Gil, knocked away by Pulolo. You wonder where the goals might come from for El Salvador, especially now that they're trailing. A set piece could help. Eric Zavaleta, 2 goals. Alex Roldan, 3 goals. Only 5 goals accounted for in this starting 11 for El Salvador, and all 5 belong to 2 defenders. Corner floated to the backside of the box, misplayed by the keeper, loose in front, and it rolls all the way to the end line. Some contact there, shout for penalty from El Salvador, and it's just a goal kick. A mess made of it by Yanis Clemencia. Staring directly into the sun. Just kept bouncing along. There's some contact there. Don't know if it's enough to have warranted a penalty. The sun streams in from this open corner of the stadium. It will be a factor looking to that corner flag for the entirety of this first half. Just that one quadrant of the field engulfed in the sun. The rest of the field in the shadows. Adonai Escobedo now gives the okay to take the goal kick. Was waiting on VAR to possibly indicate he may need to go over to the monitor. No indication given, and back to the action. Over 20 minutes gone now at Dry Pink Stadium. A 2-0 lead for Martinique. Happy to have you along this evening. Group C play here in the 2023 Gold Cup. Brought forward. Kevin Reyes, now cleared by Clemencia. Zavaleta for Landaverde. Again looking direct for Gil. Seems to be the game plan right now going forward for El Salvador. Gil started both friendlies against Japan and South Korea. Those came last week. Those were his second and third caps for El Salvador. He debuted as their number 9 back in their final Nations League group stage match against the United States back in March. So a neophyte here for El Salvador in the number 9 position. 21 years old until Wednesday. Winning just his 4th cap tonight. Plays his club ball with Deportes Tolima in Colombia. Gil had 2 goals in 6 starts, 13 appearances overall in 2023 leading up to the Gold Cup. Roldan. Menjivar. Every time they've tried to look inside to Gil, it's been Riviere or Pulolo, the first to it. Center backs from Martinique have been smothering so far. For Hugo Perez to think about. Salvador has not won a game since last June in the Nations League against Grenada. Martinique coming off a 2-victory week they needed to in order to get here, beating St. Lucia and Puerto Rico in the preliminary stage. Martinique earned their way into that preliminary stage based on their performance in this most recent edition of Nations League. We're in League A, Group B with Panama and Costa Rica. Even goal. It's Menjivar looking for a goal and put it wide. It's the first shot in the last few minutes since going down 2-0. Menjivar struck it clean, just pulled it wide in the end. Martinique came in last in that group in League A of Nations League behind Costa Rica and Panama. 3 losses and a draw in their 4 matches. And they make it 3 early on with another sinister-looking attack. In League A, all teams who bring up the rear of their respective groups had to go through the prelims. Don't want to have to deal with that winner-take-all type of game. It's just to get into the group stage of a tournament like the Gold Cup. Start leaving themselves in that situation, Martinique. They pass with flying colors. 3-1 over St. Lucia, 2-0 over Puerto Rico. Interestingly enough, that puts them in a group with their 2 group mates from Nations League. As mentioned, a group of 3 that featured Panama, Costa Rica, and Martinique. El Salvador, the 4th, to join them now in Gold Cup. But Panama, Costa Rica, Martinique will be intimately familiar with each other. Lebeau found Fabian, who found Fortune. A quick tic-tac-toe to make it 2-0 back in the 16th minute for Martinique. There just hasn't been a response yet from El Salvador. Perhaps here. Struck well, but again wide. Has 2 shots back-to-back from outside the box. Pulled wide by El Salvador. They're just not gaining entry into those high-priced, dangerous areas in the 18. Martinique is keeping them on the perimeter. Kevin Reyes with that hopeful effort. Winning his 15th cap tonight. Debuted in August of 2021 in a friendly against Costa Rica. Long thereafter that Hugo Perez started to put his stamp on the makeup of this Salvadoran roster. Looked at around Concacaf as one of the up-and-comers because of just a wealth of young talent they have coming through, as they've dipped into some of the dual nationals who have opted for El Salvador over the United States. Won by Martinez. They have numbers here. Martinez to Reyes, right to Clemencia. Finally got into a dangerous area in the box, but the shot left more to be desired. Martinez. Rolled on. So versatile, can be used in a number of ways. Roldan as an outside backer in the midfield. Verde. Salvador slowing things down, trying to just completely control the rhythm of this game as they hope to battle back down 2-0 within the first half hour. And it's been this way since the 16th minute. But Martinique seems to be okay with this. See the first card of the match here. Carl Fabian, first name in Adonai Escobedo's book. Martinique seemed to be okay with the way this game is playing out. Sitting back, allowing El Salvador to control the possession. They've stepped up, forced 2 mistakes. From those mistakes, capitalized, turned them into quick counters and 2 goals. Still, they're only 2 shots of the match, Martinique. 2 shots, 2 goals on the other side. For El Salvador, a half an hour in, it's 5 shots, 2 on target, and nothing to show for it. Cabalceta. Roldan starts his run up the left side. Cabalceta sends it that way. Here's Kevin Reyes. It came off a defender, so he was onside. Reyes Goal kick. There's a total breakdown so far on the Salvadoran side whenever they get to the 18. Mark could not be happier, despite not really showing it there, as he sits with hand over mouth, honestly looking on. And to be smothering El Salvador defensively, and to have already poached 2 on the counter in your first group match, you feel very, very good about the way things stand right now if you're Martinique. And the order of play for Martinique will be against Panama next and Costa Rica in the final match of group play. Beyond the half-hour mark now. Martinique 2, El Salvador nothing. Here's Reyes. Options in the box. Looking for Gil. Chested down. Comes out of the 18 now. Pulled underneath by Osorio. Looks through for Landaverde. Saved by Clemencia. Rebound sent back in. Saved again by Clemencia. And cleared. Landaverde waits for it. Off the volley. And now a foul from El Salvador carelessly ends the attack. It's Osorio. For the first time tonight, El Salvador threatens with good build-up into the 18. Sustained pressure. Shots from dangerous areas. Clemencia comes up with 2 big saves. Looking through the traffic to find that one from Landaverde. Romero under some pressure. Landaverde has become something of a personal favorite of Hugo Perez. Controlling that midfield. The number 8 for El Salvador. His 18th cap tonight. He debuted at the end of May in 2015. But his second cap did not come until 6 years later, November of 2021, after Hugo Perez took control of El Salvador. They're 6 years away. Landaverde has become a mainstay in the midfield. Gil tries to work the give and go. Tamacas almost got there. Cleared away by Pololo. In for Menjivar, end line. This cross blocked and now cleared. Tamacas. Here's Roldan. Sends it back for Cabalceta. Looking through for Reyes. Riviere read it like a book. Offside flag came up as well. Jonathan Riviere, the 34-year-old, earning only his 8th cap tonight for Martinique. Debuted back in March of 2022 in a friendly, scored his only international goal in that debut. The big center back played every minute of the Nations League group stage against Panama and Costa Rica, and every minute of both of last week's prelims. Riviere. Now given away at the back by Martinique. Quick throw in, Landaverde unable to settle, had Gil alone, top of the 6. It's the first time that Martinique has looked shaky at the back in possession. Looking away, a quick strike throw-in opportunity for El Salvador. And here's their best flurry so far of the night. Landaverde struck that one well. It was curling in for certain. Here's Lapi. Florian Lapi took a deflection off the cross. It's a corner on the way for Martinique. Came off the body of Eric Zavaleta. Kevin Fortune ventures out to gather the ball and get ready to send in the corner. Carl Fabian there for support as well. They up for the short option. Fortune gave them a 2-0 lead in the 16th minute. Now serves up the corner. Dealt with by Zavaleta. Arel. Fabian. Underneath by Lapi. Quick give and go to the end line. In front. Saved by Romero. Fabian whistled for the infraction. A well-worked give and go in the 18 for Martinique. There were options waiting top of the 6 if the ball made it through cleanly. Patrick Berner was available, as was Florent Pololo. Berner already has one tonight. He scored the opener back in the 11th minute. Was followed up 5 minutes later by Kevin Fortune to make it 2-0, and that's how we've stood ever since. Landaverde. Here's Tamacas. Martinique just giving no space defensively. Bounces through here for Gil, and he's muscled off of it by Riviere. A flat line of 5 in the midfield for Martinique. A flat line of 4 at the back, just 9 behind the ball whenever El Salvador enters the attacking half. That first line of 5 makes it difficult to play through. And then if you get it into that space between the midfield and the back line, Martinique just swarms. Sorio certainly felt that one and almost bounced perfectly for Gil. Laban. Manduki. Nifty turn. Ahead from Fortune. Back for Fabian. Salvador looked to break quickly, but whenever they get forward, they realize immediately they don't have the numbers. Martinique's transitional defense has been impeccable through nearly 40 minutes. Not giving anything in transition. And then once El Salvador tries to set up and build methodically, there's just no space to operate. The side down 2-0 right now. Might need to spark something with a change at halftime. Plenty of players available on the bench who you might have considered starters tonight. Players with experience and experience scoring goals as well for this country. Christian Gil has 2 goals on the bench. Joshua Perez, 3 goals. Jairo Enriquez, 3 goals, 4 assists. Some options off the bench when we get into half number 2 for El Salvador. For now, Landaverde is ridden to the ground cleanly. Oh, it's sent ahead. Another quick counterattack through LeBeau. And Zavaleta wins it clean. Just 5 minutes to be played here in half number 1. Group C action in the 2023 Concacaf Gold Cup. Joe Malfa with you tonight from Dry Pig Stadium in Fort Lauderdale as it's sent through for Gill. But Clemencia wise to it off his line. He has faced 7 shots so far, Clemencia. 4 have been on target, and he has stopped them all. His team separated by just 2 spots in the official CONCACAF rankings. El Salvador 10th, Martinique 12th. Straight Gold Cup in which El Salvador participates. They have not missed this tournament since 2005. Martinique missed it in 2015. They've now made 4 in a row. Have not advanced beyond the group stage since 2002, however. Still the only time they've ever gotten out of the group in the Gold Cup. Gives it up to Fortune. Now Manduki feeds it out wide for Patrick Berner. Space for Berner, sends it in, hoping for that near post run by LeBeau. It was a fraction too late. Kevin Reyes cutting in field and forcing it through, easily blocked. There was no space to play that ball, and now on the other side it's a 3v2 here for Martinique. Sent to the back post, the run never came. Fabian on that far side. Up to what Brighton LeBeau was trying to accomplish. Wonder how much impact the heat is having on El Salvador, or how much they're just zapped of their energy because of the scoreboard right now, but it just seemed like heavy legs getting back defensively there while Martinique broke out. When that ball was picked up in the midfield, it was a 3v5 where Martinique did not have the numbers. It quickly turned into a 3v2 as they reached top speed and El Salvador did not. Rolled on. Osorio. Landa Verde. Christian Martinez. As soon as it's put into the middle, whether it's Manduki as the holding midfielder or one of the 2 center backs, it is just a black hole right now for any ball played in by El Salvador. Frustration mounting. Just trying to force things now and get it through any way they can. Hugo Perez is going to have an important conversation with his group at halftime to get them back into this mentally, physically. And with that on the scoreboard as well. Strong challenge put in by Riviere. Whistled for the foul. Told there will be just 1 minute of additional time here in half number 1. One shot taken so far by El Salvador has been from inside the 18. 1 of their 8. Into stoppage time now. Opportunity off the set piece. Floated ahead by Reyes. Zavaleta went over the top of Pololo, looking to head it across frame. And he has whistled for the infraction. Martinique winless in the Gold Cup in 2021 against Haiti, Canada, and the United States. A very difficult group, to be certain. Have to go back to 2019, the last time Martinique picked up points in the Gold Cup, and they have a 2-0 lead at halftime against El Salvador. A lot to discuss at the break for Hugo Perez and La Selecta. Smash and grab job by Martinique early on. Burner in the 11th, Fortune in the 16th. And Martinique carries a 2-0 lead into the break here at Dry Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. opener in Group C here in the 2023 Concacaf Gold Cup between Martinique and El Salvador. Happy to have you with us this evening. I'm Joe Malfa. Just one sub to get you at the half for Martinique. It's Jonathan Mexique in for Kevin Fortune, who already left his imprint on this game. He scored in the 16th minute, Fortune, to give Martinique a 2-0 lead that they carry with them now into the second half. How will El Salvador respond? It looks like they're preparing a few changes here right out of the gates in half number 2. Hugo Perez giving some final instructions. You've got Joshua Perez, Narciso Orellana, and Enriquez, all three up and ready. That is a statement from Hugo Perez to make 3 changes out of the gates to begin the second half. It's clear the level wasn't where it needed to be in the first half for El Salvador. Now we await the players who come off. Harold Rosario gives way for Joshua Perez, nephew of Hugo Perez. Orellana comes in, as does Ido Enriquez. Orellana will lift Kevin Reyes. And Christian Martinez is out for Jairo Enriquez. Underway in half number 2. Martinique right to left in the white, El Salvador left to right in the blue. It's Martinique with the ball and a 2-0 lead as we begin playing the second 45 here in the Group C opener of the 2023 Concacaf Gold Cup. How will those 3 changes impact play for El Salvador? It's Martinique looking to score quickly here in the second half. Maybe put this one entirely out of reach. Patrick Berner chips it through. Manduki. Now Mexique. Played back for Erel. Slipped through to Berner. And recovered by El Salvador. You just wonder what the personnel differences might bring for El Salvador. The way Martinique executed the game plan perfectly in half number 1, I don't know that it matters who's out there for El Salvador. You just have to hope that somebody can bring a spark of brilliance or Martinique makes a mistake, as this one is right into the arms of Clemencia. It's been that song and dance over and over so far in this one for El Salvador. They bring it across midfield. They find some space. This pro-El Salvador crowd in Fort Lauderdale raises up a few decibel levels. And in the end, there's nothing doing in the final third for El Salvador. Ryan Tamacas plays it back for Eric Cabalceta. Of the 11 who began this game for Martinique still out there. The lone change, Mexique comes in for Kevin Fortune. Mexique more defensive-minded in the midfield than Fortune. So with a 2-0 lead, a change that indicates Martinique will look to sit back perhaps even a bit more than they did in the later stages of that first half even. And a heavy tackle here, straight red card, and that changes everything. Wow. Jonathan Riviere stepped in hard at the challenge. It didn't necessarily immediately raise to the level of a potential red to the naked eye. But if we get a second look, were the studs exposed? Was it a clear stomp in? Studs exposed, clear stomp in on the ankle. Adonai Escobedo was right on top of it. From the perch above the stadium, it looked like a normal foul initially, but stud showing you put yourself in hot water every single time. Some may say that a stomp on the foot like that, perhaps it still should have been a yellow. could be reviewed if there was an obvious error, which is Riviere is asking for now. Made the gesture with his hands for VAR. The question is clear and obvious. I don't know that that was clear and obvious. It's maybe a gray area, but nowhere in discussing a gray area do you find something clear and obvious. So if this sticks, which it looks like for now it will, Martinique still has its 2-goal lead, but now they have a manpower disadvantage as Riviere makes the walk down the tunnel. Important not only for the rest of this game, but how it impacts the next game. That's their terrific standout center back, who they now won't have. The ensuing free kick is sent packing by Martinique. Riviere did not miss a minute of Nations League, did not miss a minute of last week's Gold Cup prelims. He'll miss the last 40 minutes of this one and all 90 of the next one. A lifeline for El Salvador. Had just finished up saying that it's going to take something either brilliant from El Salvador or a mistake from Martinique to allow a comeback in this one. Martinique had been so disciplined. El Salvador at times had just seemed so lifeless. But now with one less player in white on the field, the entire equation is altered. All 3 players El Salvador brought in have goal-scoring experience for the nation. I mentioned in the first half that's something that the starting 11 lacked. The only 2 players in the starting 11 who had scored for El Salvador, both members of the back line, as it sent ahead to Jairo Enriquez, but too strong for a goal kick. Those 2 players being Alex Roldan and Eric Zavaleta. 5 goals between the 2 defenders. But Orellana comes in with a goal to his name. Enriquez with 3 goals, 4 assists. And Joshua Perez with 3 goals, 2 assists. Crowd continues to fill up from what it was in the first half, and you're seeing a lot of red within that crowd. Only problem is you can't quite tell if it's Costa Rican red or Panamanian red. Those 2 teams meet in the second game of this Group C doubleheader, scheduled for a 9:06 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Here is Berner looking to the back post. Brought down here in the middle, but blocked by Cabalceta. Brighton LeBeau trying to settle it and get a shot off. At least earned a corner for Martinique. No team is ever going to say no to additional goal scoring, but especially in this situation for Martinique, down to 10 men. Yes, the lead is 2. You feel so much better if it's 3. Old cliche, 2-goal lead is the most dangerous one in the sport. 3 goals a lot safer. Foul called against Orellana as Martinique prepares another change. Jean-Claude Michelet, the center back, is the one ready to check in, who will be sacrificed. With the 2-goal lead and having lost a center back to a red card, we figured it would be a matter of when, not if. Marc Collat, the head coach, made a change just like this to get the extra center back out there. And it will be Fabian sacrificed. So an attacking-minded winger comes off. He did have a yellow card as well, so take away the risk of perhaps a second red. Fabian comes in carelessly or clumsily to a challenge. Still down, receiving the medical attention. Applying that spray to his right arm. So this will be the second sub and first substitution window used by Martinique. El Salvador has used 3 subs. They did not use a window, making all 3 of those changes at halftime. And it looks now up a man like they will make another change here very soon. Meyer Gill, one of the 3 Gill brothers on this roster for El Salvador. Wheels turning for Hugo Perez. So much to think about here. Down 2 goals, but up a man. Certainly a way back into this game. We saw before, Fabian never stepped off the field for Martinique. He was held up right along the sideline. They did decide to change the substitution. Jean-Claude Michelet will come on for the injured Ariel, and Fabian will stay on for Martinique. An auspicious start to this second half for the side leading by 2 goals. You lose a center back to a red card. You lose one of your top defensive midfielders to an injury, as you hope to see this 2-goal lead over the finish line. Ariel, the 34-year-old, far and away the team leader in caps with 86 after tonight. Debuted all the way back in 2006 for Martinique. Went 90 in both of this week's Gold Cup prelims. Moves early with an injury. A free kick here for Martinique. Mexique standing over it. It is Jonathan Mexique right into the wall. Ambitious to try from that distance. Gets it back, sprays it wide for Enriquez. Jairo Enriquez, unable to get it past Manduki. And given away by Martinique. Enriquez chips it to himself, put wide. Enriquez chipped it to himself. A well-struck volley, always drifting away in the end, and it was saved. Initially, the indication was for a goal kick, but it was certainly saved by Clemencia. Now from the corner, headed away by Martinique. Sent back over the top toward Gil. Clemencia has it. So Ariel came off the field with a stretcher, but the sub didn't actually happen there for Martinique. They showed it on the board. He was taken off the field with the stretcher, but Jean-Claude Michelet never entered the field to play, so they will continue still with Fabian and Ariel still on the field, Martinique. Great look at it from that angle in the goal. It was slicing wide, but Clemencia not taking any chances with it. As Brian Gale is down, what you hope is only a cramp as they work on his calf. Martinique has returned to what that initial sub was going to be. Ariel fit to continue, and Fabian comes off. Jean-Claude Michelet was waiting for a while, but finally makes his entrance. Keep in mind, we might have ample stoppage time at the end of this one. A red card, a couple of injuries. There hasn't been much of a flow or rhythm to this second half just quite yet as we tick toward the hour mark. Salvador preparing another sub. Here's Meyer Gill, who's ready. Told it'll be for Brian Landaverde, but no confirmation just quite yet. Another giveaway from El Salvador. They've been careless at times with the ball tonight. And twice, that careless nature has led to turnovers, and those turnovers to goals for Martinique. Ball did stay in. Orellana. Enriquez. Nifty turn from Enriquez. Perez was almost in on goal. Joshua Perez is somebody that El Salvador would like to get going again. The 25-year-old has been scoring in Italy. Played in Serie C this past year, where he went to Montevarchi and previously been in USL Championship with Miami FC. Here is Perez. Perez earns the corner. 20th cap for Joshua Perez. Has 3 goals and 2 assists, but all 3 goals and both assists, all 5 goal contributions, came in a 10-day span back in June of 2021. The first few games he played in preliminary World Cup qualifying is where he did all his damage. Does not have a goal contribution in his last 15 caps for El Salvador as he takes this corner toward the back post. And Zavaleta claims he was held. Landaverde checks the space. Wide to Enriquez. Zavaleta, the service, Gil brings it down, shout for handball. It's loose here for Gil, looking through for Landaverde. And another shout for a handball from El Salvador. There were 2 awkwardly dealt with balls in there. Now Landaverde sends it in again. You wonder if we might be headed to a VAR check. Right now, Martinique is just scrambling at the back. Free kick set up at the edge of the area now for El Salvador. Here's a look at the initial play where Zavaleta felt he was held. Here's a look at the handball shout. Nothing there. Came off the head of Jonathan Mexique. And there came off the face of Harrell. So 3 penalty shouts in there from El Salvador. But nothing really doing on any of the 3. This free kick could pose a threat to Martinique's 2-goal lead. Jairo Enriquez, Joshua Perez, the 2 halftime subs, or I should say 2 of the 3 halftime subs for El Salvador, stand over this free kick. The other one who came on at half, Narciso Orellana. Enriquez, 3 goals in his El Salvador career. Joshua Perez, 3 goals in his El Salvador career. Enriquez, the right-footed option. Perez, the left-footed option. Yanis Clemencia has 5 saves already tonight. Has a 5-man wall set up. Who will it be? Is this the moment for those fans to erupt behind the goal for El Salvador? It's Enriquez. He puts it into those fans instead of into the goal. Tried to go around the wall and just drive it to that far post. Never had a chance in the end. Leonardo Menjivar, the player sacrificed for Meyer Gil. 19-year-old enters. Well, 2 of the 3 Gil brothers out there. Brian up top. Meyer in the midfield. 5th appearance for Meyer Gil. All 5 of them have come off the bench. Only 1 in official competition before tonight. Came in Nations League. Ball will stay in for Patrick Berner. Martinique have been stretched a few times defensively, operating down a man, but they haven't succumbed to that pressure of El Salvador just quite yet. Clinging to a 2-0 lead. Burner in the 11th minute, Kevin Fortune in the 16th minute. Your 2 goals in this one for Martinique. Cutting here, Gill looking in front, it's deflected wide. Last came off of Jean-Claude Michelet, it appeared. It's offside on Brian Gill, the call in the end. Jairo Enriquez whips the ball through. Gill couldn't hold his run. And Gill was offside again, coming back to the ball. You wonder how much longer he may go up top. They only have 1 sub remaining, El Salvador. But on a night where temperatures were upwards of 90 degrees, heat index taking it into the mid-90s. I wonder if the number 9 position there is where you need those fresh legs. Cabalceta rolls it along for Alex Roldan, who hasn't seen much of the ball in the second half after a lot of the attack came down his side in the first half. Landaverde looks through for Gill, who brings one back for El Salvador. It's thwarted for the moment by the offside flag. It was a close call, we might need a check. If the check indicates that Brian Gill was onside, it'll be his first for El Salvador in his 4th appearance for his nation. Let's see. Off by his right shoulder and right leg. Nearly timed it well. Good bit of refereeing by the assistant referee on the near side of the field, Christian Espinosa. Martinique is preparing another change. Tomas Efestion is the player ready on the Martinique side. Crowd starting to come to life a little bit more at Dry Pink Stadium in favor of El Salvador. Down 2 goals, but up a man as the sand slips through the hourglass. Only 24 minutes plus stoppage time remaining to get those 2 goals back. Here is that change. Herrell exits, and Festion enters. Saturday, we saw a 1-1 draw in Group A between the United States and Jamaica. Yesterday, we saw 3 matchups here in the Gold Cup. Also in Group A, a 3-0 victory for Trinidad and Tobago over St. Kitts and Nevis. In Group B, Haiti, dramatic victory in second half stoppage time, 2-1 over Qatar. And Mexico, a resounding 4-0 defeat against Honduras. So far, as Gill plays it in, the matchups have gone as expected on paper, at least, based on what you expected coming into the tournament, the team's rankings, the team's runs of form. This would be the first eye-opener. And Martinique is looking to add a 3rd, but too much on that one. Brighton LeBeau wanted that ball to feet. Jonathan Riviere picked up the red card 5 minutes into the second half. Drastically changed the outlook of this matchup. It hasn't impacted the scoreline just quite yet. Martinique partaking in a 4th consecutive Gold Cup. Haven't made it beyond the group stage since 2002. They were eliminated there in the quarterfinal. El Salvador 6 times. Quarterfinalists, never have they made it beyond that. They were quarterfinalists in 2021, ousted by Qatar. Up here by Romero, rolled out quickly. Given away carelessly, Orellana. These two teams will meet in the next edition of Concacaf Nations League, beginning in the fall. Drawn into League A, Group A together. Newly formatted Nations League. So 2 groups of 6 in League A, competing to join 4 pre-seeded quarterfinalists. Michele goes for goal, pulls it wide. The last couple of minutes, Martinique has done a good job of keeping the ball in the attacking half, allowing the defensive shape to just take a breather. He's been under fire in this second half, down a man. Playing out of a 4-4-1. Sacrificing any offense now just for defense, but it's played through for Perez. Well done, backtracking by Jean-Claude Michele, and the offside flag comes up before the corner's given. Only after going up a man has El Salvador begun to find ways through this Martinique back line. Prior to that, Martinique had resisted just about every Salvadoran advancement. El Salvador 11 shots in this match. The efficiency not there. Only 5 of those 11 have been on target. Caught offside 4 times with 62% of that possession. Been sloppy at times. 2 giveaways led to a pair of counters and a pair of goals for Martinique. Taken by Gil. Perez was calling for the ball the whole time, and he still looks irritated at Gil, but Gil did the right thing. Perez was a couple of yards offside, as he was a few moments ago when he was called for offside. He's still shouting at Gil that he wanted the ball, but he was never in an onside position. I don't know if he ever realized it. Minutes to be played still in this second half. You figure stoppage time has to be upwards of 5+ minutes, considering the injuries and stoppages we've seen in this second half. One last change could be made by Martinique. Same goes for El Salvador, both sides with 1 sub remaining. Burner wants it down the left side. Lebeau had it caught between his feet. Landaverde had the best look of the night in the box for El Salvador. Perez was again tiptoeing that back line, but the ball didn't make it through from Enriquez. And he's whistled for a foul. Pardon me, a handball. Perez has certainly brought that different dynamic to the Salvadoran attack. He's acting as a second striker up there with Gil, stretching the back line, going for through balls, but the back line of Martinique has done a good job of stepping in unison, trapping El Salvador offside 4 times. Now space again for Meyer Gil. Brian Landaverde, he takes his space and feeds Jairo Enriquez. Enriquez, nowhere to go past Ronnie Laban except for backwards. Roldan, Orellana, and back for Roldan. Skipped along to the captain Brian Tamacas, into Landaverde. Landaverde through to Perez, saved by Clemencia. 6th save of the match for Clemencia. Enriquez begins the attack again down that left side. Roldan, Orellana. 8 white jerseys sitting back behind the ball right now. Here's Perez, end line, has options, still in play. Perez flashes it across goal. Nobody on the backside. needless foul from Cabaceta. The ball was played with too much pace on it. It's going to be a giveaway and a Salvadoran throw. Look at that last flurry of opportunities. Perez shot saved by Clemencia. Verde wound up on the rebound, hoping for that left-footed volley. Swung and missed altogether. Enrique Roy-Pern into the match now for Martinique. Brighton LeBeau will exit, as will Patrick Berner. Roy-Pern in, Andy Marnie in. Christian Gill for Brian Gill, one brother for the other. All three Gill brothers have participated now in this game. Both teams are now out of subs, having used all 5. Over the top, chested down by Gill, turning to goal. Gill has it saved by Clemencia. Rebound right back to him, and he didn't have the balance to get the pass across to Tamacas. Speculated a few moments ago that the last substitution for El Salvador would be a swap of the 9s. It looked like Brian Gill was at his wit's end in terms of his energy levels. They make that change, and immediately Christian Gill comes into a good spot with an opportunity. Quarter of an hour remains. Hangs up, edge of the area, falls now for Meyer Gill, left-footed strike, curling wide. Is there a breakthrough in this one for El Salvador? Their 13th shot of the match. They've been up a man for now over a half an hour, and they still trail 2-0. Brilliant ball in from Meyer Gill to Christian Gill. Just didn't have the balance to get any power on the shot or the ensuing pass centrally. Well taken off the chest. Plus stoppage time remaining at Dry Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Happy to have you along tonight as El Salvador and Martinique battle in the first match of group play here in Group C of the 2023 Concacaf Gold Cup. Joe Malpa with you tonight for the action as El Salvador has a corner. 13 shots, 7 on target for La Selecta. Down 2-0. 2 goals scored 5 minutes apart in the first half for Martinique. Patrick Berner in the 11th, Kevin Fortune in the 16th, both off of well-executed counters. Enriquez from the corner, steered away by Laban. And now with fresh legs, Enrique Roy-Pern takes it ahead. Roy-Pern into space, he's brought down. His touch was heavy. If it was closer in terms of proximity, there might have been a shout for a red card. Oriana brought him down. Here is Oriana. Enriquez carves one. Switch of play from Oriana. Here's Meyer Gill. Little step overs, laid off to Roldan. Alex Roldan to Joshua Perez. Perez whirling around, finds Gill into Roldan. A heavy touch, and the opportunity goes away. Enriquez Enriquez sneaks out into space up the right side, uncovered. Enriquez slapped away, rebound for Perez, it's blocked. Clemencia is still down. Put his body on the line to come out and meet that cross. Paid the price for it. Good ball from Enriquez. Oh, and it was his own teammate. Watch at the end here, Pulolo. Oh, knee right to the head and neck of Clemencia. Should get a good look at it here. Boom, right knee of Pulolo, taking out his own keeper accidentally. Salvadoran players and fans, coaches, maybe sitting back and wondering if there's anything time-wasting in nature here from Clemencia, but they saw a replay up on the board in the stadium. They would know that is a real moment of pain for the keeper. This will be tacked on to what already was on its way to being a lengthy bit of stoppage time, considering some of the stoppages we'd already seen here in this second half. Look back at that last goal for Roy Pern. Did the right thing putting it around Orellana here. He was grabbed by Orellana and pulled right there. Not a lot of contact, but enough where if the ball would have been closer, it might have gone ahead. Changed or made a call. Are they going to the monitor here for that play precisely? No, they're going back to the monitor here to see what happened in the box on that cross. Possible penalty check, perhaps. Gill was grabbed in there by Pulolo. Pulolo, to be fair, nearly undressed him, pulled the shirt up over his head. According to statistics that have been provided since the inception of VAR, this is worldwide, whenever the referee goes to the monitor, the call only remains the same 8% of the time. It's not 100%, and if you go to the monitor, the call has changed, but it's 92%. Well, we have another one that falls into that category here, and give El Salvador the lifeline of a penalty. We will. Sky shades of pink, orange, and purple as the sun begins to set here at Dry Pink Stadium, but the sun not yet setting on the chances of El Salvador to salvage a point from this one. Well, the time the penalties taken will be in the 83rd minute. It's a yellow card to Pulolo. We already know stoppage time might be lengthy because of some of the injuries we've seen. Now the VAR check. So up a man with still plenty of time to go. And all the momentum in the world if El Salvador can convert this PK. Jairo Enriquez will take it. His 38th appearance for his country. After the 2015 Gold Cup, Enriquez was not capped again for 6 years before he entered the fray once again. 3 goals, 4 assists in his 37 caps coming in. Yanis Clemencia has already made 8 saves tonight. Jairo Enriquez of Colorado Springs Switchbacks in USL Championship has a penalty in the 83rd to bring one back for El Salvador. Slow approach, Enriquez denied by Clemencia! His teammates swarm him, his 9th save of the match. None bigger than that one from 12 yards out. A stunned silence from the Salvadoran pro crowd here at Dry Pink Stadium. He remained on his line, kept that left foot back, read the PK like a book, and parried it aside. Now from the corner, rolled on to Zavaleta. Glances all the way out to the far corner for another corner for El Salvador. Enriquez just has to shake that off quickly. Enriquez from the corner, headed goalward, kept away, now back in, slapped away by Clemencia. Perez was closing in, but it's cleared. Martinique defending with everything they have. Played back over the top to Zavaleta, a header flashes wide. More and more starting to look like this is Martinique's evening. Two perfectly executed counters in the first half. They have only 5 shots, 2 on target, but they made them both count. Meanwhile, 9 shots on target, including a penalty for El Salvador, and they have not yet found the back of the net. For 40 minutes, they've been up a man. Or nearly 40, I should say. A red card came 37 minutes ago, to be exact. And it came arguably to Martinique's most important defender, center back Jonathan Riviere, who hasn't missed a minute of their action in Nations League or Gold Cup preliminaries. A massive result this could be for Martinique. They lost all 3 of their matches in the 2021 edition of the Gold Cup. In a very difficult group with Canada, the US, and Haiti. Played in towards Zavaleta, grabbed by Clemencia. This time around, Martinique in a much better standing in terms of the roster and the personnel than they were in 2021. Still dealing with some of the complications of COVID and the restrictions that impose on some players traveling. They didn't necessarily have their full allotment of players who are dual nationals from France. They have more of that allotment here. Had strong showings in Nations League and friendlies. Came into this ranked 12th in Concacaf, just 2 spots behind El Salvador. They're more battle-tested now, Martinique. In Nations League, they were in a group of 3 teams with Panama and Costa Rica, who coincidentally are the other 2 group mates here in Group C. They will play coming up at 9:06 p.m. Eastern Time, the scheduled kickoff following this one. Panama and Costa Rica. All of that is to say, Martinique on the come up. Martinique with 3 points in the first match of group play here. They would be on the brink of their first trip out of the group since 2002. Only time they've ever advanced past the group stage of the Gold Cup. Landaverde through for Enriquez, sits one defender down, now Enriquez puts it over the bar. That a reflection of how most of this night has gone for El Salvador. They've done good things in the midfield. They've done good things to start some of their attacks, but they haven't finished any of them. They were gifted this penalty off a careless mistake by Florent Pololo. Enriquez was denied by Clemencia. Feel the deflation from the crowd. Big Salvadoran population in the South Florida area have made their voices heard tonight. Martinique has backed it up on the field with a terrific performance and execution of their game plan. It was clear from the beginning. Sit back, wait for the moment to counter. and hurt El Salvador in that regard. They checked that box twice in the first half. "90 seconds remaining of the 90 minutes. Stoppage time could be lengthy. El Salvador still needs 2 goals. Gil weaves his way through. Meyer Gil goes down. The shot here is saved by Clemencia. El Salvador wanted his second penalty. They didn't get it from Adonai Escobedo. Have a look as Gil goes through traffic. A dive, no contact. Good officiating from Adonai Escobedo. Bit of a delayed reaction from Meyer Gil. Oriana. Landaverde. Rolled on. Making the run. Gil with it. And again wasted by El Salvador. El Salvador will be very disappointed in themselves more than anything else at the end of the night here. If this result does come to pass the way it's looking, 5 minutes tacked on at the end. Miscues, self-inflicted wounds, sloppy play in the final third. That's been the story of the night for El Salvador. Martinique has been lethal in the final third. Out to Roldan. Has to be more urgency from El Salvador. Just over 4 minutes to play, and they need to score twice. Tough sledding ahead. Costa Rica in the next game for El Salvador. Panama in the group finale. Meyer Gil takes it himself. Meyer Gil on the right foot, back to his left, forced end line, and taken away by Pololo. As much as it's been an evening of mistakes for El Salvador on the attack, it's been a terrific defensive showing from Martinique and a chance to make it 3 here. It's touched aside by Romero, denying Andy Marnie. So many times tonight they've turned stellar defensive play into attacking options. And with 3 minutes to go and the ball down in the corner, you have to figure it's unlikely Martinique will concede twice. On a way to a victory tonight, and a hard-earned one, considering they've been playing down a man ever since the 48th minute. Given away again, a foul called against Monduki. Halfway through the 5 minutes allotted. Sent ahead to Zavaleta, settled for Enriquez. Jairo Enriquez. He had his penalty stopped. He's had a few shots like that, which have ballooned out into the stands as the boos rain down now from the Salvadoran fans who sense the end is near. That was the 20th shot of the evening for El Salvador. 10 on target, 10 off target. Tremendous bit of defending all evening long from Martinique. When you score too early, it allows you, of course, to be more defensive-minded. They did just that. 11th minute, Patrick Berner. 16th minute, Kevin Fortune. The score has remained ever since. Meyer-Gill sends it in. Zavaleta leaves it. Clemencia has it. Penalty. A handball coming through off the hand of Michele. So a second penalty of the evening for El Salvador. The last one we needed a VAR check. This one was blatant off the hand of Jean-Claude Michele, who didn't seem to argue it much. Played through. Right there off the left arm of Michele. Kept it from getting through to Gill. Should give us our best look at it. No doubt. Different kick taker this time. Jairo Enriquez was stopped the last try. Now it's Brian Tamacas of the Oakland Roots in USL Championship. Tamacas, the most experienced player in this starting 11 for El Salvador, earning his 66th cap. He's never scored for El Salvador. In the last minute of stoppage time, can he pull one back and help the goal difference at least? Brian Tamacas, slow approach. Tamacas is there with the goal off the foot of Clemencia. Seemed like he had it stopped, got his foot to it, but it still made its way in, and Tamacas has his first international goal for El Salvador. Is it too little, too late? Oh, he got his foot to it, Clemencia. Couldn't believe it, thought he had it stopped. El Salvador have to get it right off the kickoff and go goalward with it. And they'll have no opportunity to do so. There's the final whistle. Martinique holds on and wins it 2-1 in the Group C opener of the 2023 Concacaf Gold Cup. Goals in the 11th and 16th minutes. Tamacas pulled one back with the last kick of the ball in the attacking third on a penalty. Clemencia just narrowly missed a clean sheet. Got a piece of that second penalty after saving one earlier. He faced 21 shots tonight, 11 on target, only one beat him, and Martinique would not be beaten. They sit currently atop Group C.